back again once again. It's Laguna Seca, it's the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League, and it's all coming up next here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Laguna Seca here for another round of the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League. Cisco Scaramouche alongside Jack Stiles, and Jack, well, they're already on the grid, so let's just jump into it.
Yeah, we were a bit like coming on about, so they're already on the grid, getting ready to go for their first race of two here at Laguna Seca, sorry.
So let's take a look at that qualifying order here on the grid. Antonio Reyes on top of the board right now with a 117.7. Right to his outside is going to be Bill Lawrence in the 17 with a 117.9, only 0.2 off. And then we go into the 118s. Steve Karkner is starting third. Fourth going to go to Jos Vanderven in that number 167. Fifth is going to go to Andrew Fiddler.
Sixth is going to go to Flamingo de Pascual, and seventh is Mark Robertson. Alongside him is going to be John Morgan in the 177 car, and in ninth place is going to be Bruce Paul. Rounding out your top 10 is Andy Morgan. You look a bit further down the grid, you're going to see names like Joel Martin, John Unsby. These are all guys, John Unsby especially, who we saw shine at Watkins Glen just a few weeks ago, and expect them to have a good race here at Laguna Seca. Other names like Gianni Raspaldo, we expected to see a little bit further up the order. He's right down in 18th position, but that top 10 looking very competitive here today, Cisco.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. 25 cars expected to take the grid here for the start on one of America's premier road courses here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and probably one of the most infamous, Jack, and it's all because of one corner.
Yeah, it is, and the corkscrew is definitely going to be somewhere you're going to watch today. Obviously, 8 and 8.8 it's a very hard downhill chicane. It's blind crest as you go over the top, so if we have a spin halfway down, expect to see some carnage there. So the corkscrew is definitely going to be interesting. There's some great corners here at this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. We're coming down the straightaway here into one, and the one of the harder turns here, this hairpin, it's a double apex with that altitude change, and if you're not careful, you're going to get it way wrong, so you got to make sure you hit that right. The Andretti hairpin, as it's known. Then you come through 3, and then you start making your way up the hill, and for these guys in these single seaters, it'd be a lot easier to see where the track goes, other than maybe say a GT car like what we usually see here on Laguna Seca. These single seaters, they always put on great racing at Laguna Seca because it allows these guys to be able to see where they're actually going.
Yeah, it does, and you've obviously got a little bit more peripheral vision in the single seaters, as we just see Antonio Reyes leading the field round now, currently on turn 5 for the first for their pace lap for the rolling start here. But these single seats are going to be interesting. Obviously, one special thing about this series is everyone runs the same car, everyone runs the Pro Mazda, and everyone also runs the same setup. It is a custom setup, and it's made by Donald Strout, the organizer for the league, so everyone is on level playing field. So the only difference between the drivers is going to be how good they are and driver skill, and that is definitely something which makes this series special.
Yeah, absolutely. As we head into the infamous corkscrew here, just past the Ray Hall straight down, the huge altitude change that, well, if these guys were in the cars, they'd basically get shoved down into the sheet about 3G in that corner. And as they come out here, only two turns left to go for Antonio Reyes, who's going to be leading the field in the 007. to the green flag. We thank you for watching and joining us here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live for the 60+ Racing Adventures League. Antonio going to come around turn 11 right there. He's on the loud pedal. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing here from Laguna, Seca. Down to turn number 1, hard on the brakes here, looking to the inside. Karkner's going to get the cut on Bill Lawrence. Lawrence going to go a little bit wide.
We've got some contact at the back of the field. Kenneth Dummer, sorry about that, Cisco. Kenneth Dummer going straight into the back of a car there. Unfortunate accident for him, and that's already taken one car out of the start of this race.
That was Ronald McManus, and a little bit more of a checkup there as Joe Wren just got almost brake checked, I think, by Kenneth Dunmer. So Kenneth already not having the race he wants, but either way, McManus got back underway, took the access road on track, and now a little bit of a problem for Campodonico is going to hit the curb on the right side to driver's right, but all of that aside, everyone single file for the most part. They head up the Ray Hall straight. A little bit of a battle between the 43 and the 177. John Morgan to driver's left. He's going to be hard on the brakes as they head into the corkscrew. Not the apex you want. There's a car sideways there. It's Antonio Reyes, your leader.
Ooh, Antonio Reyes took a little bit too much speed into the corkscrew for the first time. Got him round. That's an unfortunate mistake. It was probably one we were expecting to see over the course of the 2 races here today, Cisco. And that's already taken your leader out of the front of this race.
Yeah, and we're going to get a look at what on earth happened to the 007. And we talk about this track being famous for one corner, and that's very much why. There's no other corner like it in racing. And for Reyes, just to, like you said, too much speed, it just got the car loose, and next thing you know, you're sitting sideways on the racetrack. That's not a great start for the 007, who everything was looking so well for.
Yeah, that isn't as unfortunate for Antonio Reyes. He obviously put the pole lap in the quickest time. Stephen Kartner is going to inherit that lead now. He is currently leading by about 0.8 of a second, 0.9 of a second at the front of the field over Bill Lawrence, and Jos van der Ven currently sat in third. But that is a very unfortunate incident, but a very easy mistake to make in these cars. Obviously, they have got a lot of power, but at slow speeds, the downforce isn't acting as well, and just a little bit too much steering lock is going to send you around.
Yeah, now Karkner takes over that lead, as you mentioned, and his Canadian teammate behind him of Bill Lawrence. Closing that gap ever so slightly. We have another accident, it looks like, on track. Yeah, it's going to be Andy Morgan in the 58, so a little bit, something happened there on the Ray Hall straight. Not sure what happened. We'll get a look at the replay here this time, and ooh, it was the car in front of him, actually. Holy cow. That was Mark Robertson, and he got loose coming up the hill through 6, hit the curb on left side, and got T-boned. An absolutely huge accident in the tire barriers.
Yeah, it looks like Bruce Paul also spun coming through turn 6 as well. I'm just looking at a slightly different incident to you, but these drivers are already going for it. We're only 2 laps into this race. We've still got 19 more to go. It's everyone's sort of maybe not finding the rhythm they need, but Stephen Karkner's definitely found one. He's currently leading this race by over a second over Bill Lawrence, and then Jos van der Ven and Andrew Fiddler 3rd and 4th, currently separated by about 0.4 of a second. This battle is a brilliant one here, as Andrew Fiddler just maybe looking to the inside coming down to turn 1. Jos van der Ven is just going to hold that on as he comes down into turn number 3 for the 3rd time. So this race is already having a lot of action in it, and we aren't even 3 laps in.
Yeah, and Fiddler, now as they head up the corkscrews, we get back live here. Lawrence coming down that long sweeping left-hander of turn number 9 and closing up the gap. And Fiddler, he was doing decently well that last lap by Jack, but just it's starting to, that gap is starting to open up, and there's not really much he can do for the most part, as it looks like everyone's starting to get spaced out, and that's good for these guys, because this track, it becomes so much of a challenge. You have to worry about the track more than I think you do the other drivers, and we've already seen what a difference that's made for some of the guys maybe not giving the track enough credit.
Yeah, maybe, and obviously people might just be underestimating this circuit. It is a very difficult circuit. It's obviously one of the circuits you get when you first start on iRacing, so it's one that every single driver who's racing today is going to be familiar with, because they would have spent a lot of time with it in the lower classes of iRacing. But there is a lot of difficult sections on this circuit. It's very fast and flowing, lots of elevation change, and the elevation change can upset the car, especially come through the corkscrew like we saw with Reyes in the first lap. So it's definitely interesting, but Stephen Kartner at the moment he's just romping away from Bill Lawrence. The lead is now up to 1.1 seconds, so he's slowly pulling a gap, selling into a rhythm, along with everyone else. This gap's starting to pull out across the field, so it's going to be nice to see. Everyone's just going to settle down into a rhythm as we see, looks like we had a car stop, the number 9 stop coming through turn 6, Cisco.
And that is not good for the driver of Gerald Florisian. That was up the Ray Hall straight, so turn 6 strikes again, and I'm looking to see if it was the curb and maybe just the zebras got him off. No, it was just carried too much speed. Car got loose, and that's all she wrote for the number 9. So he got it back going. But that turn 6 is catching a lot of people today, and I'm wondering, Jack, because we're in these open wheelers, maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit different of an aero package we're dealing with, making those cars a little bit more upset on that turn 6, because normally when we see tin top type vehicles here, that's not usually a problem.
No, it's not, and obviously these cars do have a lot of grip. We see them race at Indy, and they are reasonably quick around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but they're just, for some reason, losing downforce and losing grip coming through these hard corners with the camber on it. Obviously turn 6 has got a dip straight through the middle of the corner. You see that at most other circuits as well, or some other circuits as well, but it's got a very difficult dip coming through the corner, and that just makes it even more challenging.
Yeah, a little bit of a battle going on right now between Joe Wren and Jim Oliver. Those two closed up a little bit as they head through 5 up towards the dubious turn 6 apparently. But Jim Oliver actually starting to fall off the back ever so slightly of Joe Wren, so he was able to just start to pull away, and he's probably going to go up and catch Rispaldo up there, who's not too far in front of him, and that's going to be a battle for that 13th position, and he caught a lot of time going through the corkscrew that time, Wren did, and closing up on the back wing, as it were, of the car in front of him, the 48. And no, actually, no, the 006 is going to go around, and Commentator's Curse strikes again. We'll see if we can get a look at that, but this time, and through turn 10, I don't think these cars like these hard cambered corners.
No, I don't think they do. I think the setup maybe is just meaning that the camber is unsettling them a bit. Jay Wren, actually, I think he'd already lost it coming into the corner, so I think maybe he just took a little bit too much into the corner. He was doing 160 kilometers an hour in apex, and I think that might just be a little bit too fast for him, but he's back going again. He has dropped down to position number 14. No, sorry, position number 16, I believe. So we're going to go back live, and Cisco, I believe you've got something.
Yeah, Andrew Fiedler right now closing up on the back wing, the back gearbox rather, of Joost van der Ven in the 167. That's going to be a battle for your 3rd place position. And what happened, Van der Ven kind of went off track, and he did it again there, got a piece of the dirt, and it allowed Fiedler to close that gap ever so slightly. So these guys fighting for a spot on the podium as they make the turn towards the Andretti straight here again, and Fiedler looking to close in as they head towards the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, and he's just going to look round the outside, but he's just not close enough to make a move, so Jos van der Ven going to hold it for a little bit longer as we go on to the 7th lap of this race already. But Andrew Fiedler, he wants that position. Obviously, one of the rules which also makes this series unique is if you finish in the top 3, you are not allowed to race in race 2. We do have another race coming up here on RaceSpotTV. It's going to be straight after this one, and the top 3 are not allowed to race, so we will certainly have 2 different winners, which means that it will be 2 completely different races. At the moment, Stephen Karker is in that pole position for the win, Bill Lawrence in 2nd, and Jos van der Ven for 3rd, but Andrew Fiedler is definitely giving him a run for his money as they come through up into turn 6.
And what a run van der Ven got through 6 that time, just threw the car in there, and it stuck. So able to find a little bit of grip there as they head into the corkscrew, and problems for the number 4, De Pasqua. It looks like
it's turn 6 again. He's done it again.
Yeah, this is just a case of these cars are just not happy going through that corner, and I don't know if the load's just not getting set correctly on the cars, that's the problem, or whatever way. And De Pasqua only lost 1 position, so he should count as stars, because that could have been a whole lot worse. He only lost 1 position to John Morgan. As we look back to the battle between Van der Ven and Fiedler, they head into 1. But turn 6 strikes again, and Van der Ven went wide, and Fiedler's going to look to the inside. This time he's going to have a wheel there, but 167 going to have the run off the corner, and Jay Friels, meanwhile, slow to the driver's left. They're going to go past him here, but Fiedler gained all that time, but the 167 in front of him able to get the cutback.
Yeah, that is, and Jos van der Ven just managed to hold on to that. He did very well there. The 167 currently still sitting in third, but Fiddler's not giving up as they come up into turn 5, and they're going to head up towards turn 6 for the 8th time. And Fiddler, we know Jos van der Ven is good through turn 6. We saw that on the last lap. It looks as though he didn't get as good a run as he did before, so Fiddler going to keep that gap close, maybe going to challenge coming into the corkscrew.
He's going to close up ever so slightly, but that's more the accordion effect there. He's actually going to lose a little bit of the apex coming down the hill. Van der Ven got a better run through there, and he hits the apex perfectly on the zebras, but got a little bit loose, but opened up that gap. And let's see if we can ride on board maybe with that driver of the 23 of Fiddler, so we can watch this battle from the driver's perspective. Maybe we'll go on board and see what this is like, Jack, because the 23, and for drivers here, a lot of these corners are just so blind because of the altitude change.
Yeah, it is, and we've just had the 07 spin. Kenneth Dummer, I think he had some front wing damage anyway from that contact on the first lap. We just had him change or spin at turn 6 as well, but as you said, everyone is going to be able to drive these cars differently, and Andrew Fiddler will be driving his car completely differently to Jos van der Ven ahead, even though they are on the same setup, even though they are in the same car. But these cars are not particularly easy to drive. We know that, we've seen that from past broadcasts of these cars, but Andrew Fiddler showing a sterling job, and he seems to, as he really goes up to the back of Jos van der Ven there, that was brilliant. That was nearly so close to getting up to the back of him, but as we head up towards turn 6 again, but yeah, these cars are not easy to drive, and I don't think the setup is suiting them today.
And this is what we want the onboard shot for the corkscrew, just to show you how blind of a corner this is. It's like a roller coaster almost. You crest the top of the hill and then bam, you're thrown straight into the seat coming down the corner into 10 here, which is another sweeper. But you don't really see these altitudes on the wider shots, and getting a shot on board allows us to really see what these drivers are having to go through and having to hit their points and be consistent. It's a challenge and a half.
It is, and obviously just also being in a battle, battling with someone for such a high position it's very stressful. It's very mentally challenging, as we see Jos van der Ven just protecting the inside, hitting that sausage dog curve coming through the second part of the Andretti hairpin. But as I said, it's very mentally challenging sitting behind someone, knowing that maybe you are faster than them. Andrew Fiddler was in fact faster than Jos van der Ven on that last lap, but it is for the driver behind trying to find a way past. Your brain is always thinking, trying to work out where the best place is to get past, and Andrew Fiddler at the moment just cannot find that place to do it.
Absolutely, and now we got a calm mode and we can properly... Actually, no, we went around 23 around, and just as we had a calm moment in the race, it all went wrong for the 23 in turn number 6. So Jack, add 1 to the point total for turn number 6. That corner has done a lot to a lot of drivers tonight.
Yeah, it has. We've already got 4 drivers out of this event already, but Andrew Fiddler going to drop down to 5th, back behind John Morgan, who's going to inherit 4th. But Jos van der Ven now, he is clear. He's still got about 8 seconds behind, as we're just going to go back towards Antonio Reyes, who we saw leading this event, starting from pole, and Richard Colomb back in P10 and 11, I believe. And these guys are going to be scrapping out. We know Antonio is fast. He's on the comeback, going to look to the inside, coming through turn number 10, as we've got a car stop to the bottom of the corkscrew, and I'm not sure who that is, Cisco, but I think he has towed back to the pit lane.
610, Mark Leisen there. He actually got in the way to Ronald McManus there, was on track, but we're going to stay with this battle with the 007 and the 13 because they're going to be side by side heading into the Andretti hairpin. Reyes going to look to the inside this time. Problem is, though, is Colombi going to have the cutback? No, he's not. Reyes does a fantastic job going through 1, showing why he was really fast out there. And unfortunately for him, it all kicked off really early in this race, so now he has to claw his way back through the field. He's doing a decent job of it, but still has a lot of cars he's going to have to pass.
Yeah, he does, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in race 2, and he probably will do very well as long as he doesn't have the same problems as he did in this one. But these cars already are going to go, or as we see Andrew Fiddler, John Morgan, and Remigo De Pasqua is back in 4th, 5th, and 6th. These guys are all in a battle, as we see De Pasqua wanting to get past Andrew Fiddler, but they're running all within about a second of each other. 3 cars covered by about 9/10 of a second. But we're going to see Andrew Fiddler is currently sat in the middle of that pack, I believe. No, sorry, he has got past John Morgan during that lap. John Morgan currently sitting in the middle of that one.
Yeah, and this is where we see this accordion effect start to happen. Because of the corkscrew, you can't really pass there, and it kind of parks everyone behind you if you have faster guys. And excuse me, it's really hard to find a good passing corner on this track because it's single file for so much of it. As we have a battle between the 006 and the 16 of or no, rather, oh, I see what you're saying now. Oh, actually, the 006 gets it way wrong, and
oh, he's done it again.
Yeah,
he's just gone off at turn 9 as well. I think he's. Hang on. Okay. I think he's got front wing damage.
All right, so looks, for whatever reason, these cars just do not like these high banking corners today, and wow, that I don't know, it's just stumping a lot of these guys, but problems all over the place as we return to this that was a 3-car battle. It's now just a 2-car battle. The 177, the 23 Fiddler trying to defend that position from John Morgan. Morgan can close up a whole lot in turn 11, and as they head back towards the start-finish line to around about the halfway point as of this race right now, as they're coming to pick up lap 13. It's flying by for these guys, but not without its fair share of incidents.
No, and we are seeing a lot of incidents in this first race. Hopefully we won't see as many in the second, but these drivers just either don't seem to be able to find a rhythm with the car, or the car isn't being able to find the rhythm with the track, as we just see the car of Andrew Fiddler running a little bit wide coming through turn 3. But we're seeing a lot of people struggling today, Cisco. And obviously it can't be ignored. We have a low track temperature for Laguna Seca, only 33 degrees Celsius, so I wonder what's going wrong for everyone today, because it's very interesting to see it's only on the off-camber corners where people are having issues.
Yeah, it is, and there's a lap car going to go the left side of those two battling Wayne Galloway, and wow, Remigo de Pasqua is coming. He is caught right back up to this battle. He had kind of lost those guys a little bit as Morgan got a little bit loose going through the corkscrew, and it's going to bring de Pasqua right back into this battle at number 4. And closing up, it's going to be a 3-car battle again between these guys, and they just can't seem to let each other go for the most part.
No, they can't. They're running.
Oh, problems for the leader. The leader's smoking. What? Did he I think he double downshifted going into 1.
Downshifted.
Oh my goodness, Shades
He's not
and Michael
accelerating
Conti.
coming out of turn 2.
Shades and Michael Conti in the Peak Antifreeze series, and our second leader is running into issues. Steven Karkner had it wrapped up in the bag, and now smoke pouring from that Pro Mazda. I cannot believe that.
No, neither can I, but I mean, he's still in the lead. He's still going. I think he's just trying to get that car back to pit lane so he can get it repaired and get it back out onto track. His lead is coming down a lot, though. Jos van der Ven is definitely on the charge to get that lead, and he is definitely going to inherit it before the end of the lap. But Steven Karkner, I didn't expect that to see that from him. He's blown that engine. That engine is scrap. That will be going straight back to the factory and probably being written off. So yeah, he's going to come.
Yep, pit lane. Game over. So, as a result, Jos van der Ven going to take over the lead now. And a stunning turn of events. That's the second incident we've had for our leaders. And now we're going to try and figure out what to show you. We'll go to Andrew Fiddler and John Morgan, because those two continue to battle. De Pasqua's kind of fallen off this battle a little bit, Jack. But I'm just stunned. It seems if you're in the lead, it's just a token for bad luck, apparently. And John Morgan going to try and close in on Andrew Fiddler in the 23 here. So I am absolutely stunned by what happened to the leader there, but we'll try and focus back in. Jos van der Ven now has a huge lead over Bill Lawrence. It's coming down to about 4 seconds or so. And then John Morgan, Remigo de Pasqua, and Andrew Fiddler. Problems for, you've got to be kidding me. Now the leader's gone around. Jos van der Ven has gone around. What? In turn 6. So it's another turn 6 incident again, and I do not believe this. And now Bill Lawrence has the lead, so hopefully nothing bad happens to him now. This is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this before. This is the third time now we've had a driver in the lead and something has happened to him. Bill Lawrence has taken over the lead now. This is unbelievable. So Lawrence has the lead. We got the replay of what happened there. It was another just turn 6 incident there. Bill Lawrence now has about 4 seconds on Andrew Fiedler right here. John Morgan holding down third. So what was a battle for just outside the podium is now a battle to get onto the podium, at least for Remigo de Pasqua, to be decided for 2 spots on it. I'm speechless right now, ladies and gentlemen. I do not know what to say. All we can say is watch this battle between Fiedler and Morgan, because the stakes just got raised tenfold for these guys. As they head up through turn 6 again, we're waiting to Jack Stiles is working his way back into the commentary booth here, but I can tell you in my years of broadcasting, I've never seen anything like this before. This is insane. And for Bill Lawrence, he's probably just trying to hope. He just needs to run a clean race at this point. He's got a decent gap back, and it's growing. So for Bill Lawrence, he doesn't have to drive a whole lot faster, so he's just hoping nothing bad happens to him. And as Jack returns to the booth once again, now Jack, I can talk to you, because this is crazy. This is the third time in a row we've seen something happen to the leaders. I've never seen this before.
I think that may have been, 2 leaders in 3 laps we lost there?
Yeah.
So Bill Lawrence currently is he's raking it, and Andrew Fiedler, all of a sudden, back into second. So you got to wait till the end of this race. We've still got 4.5 laps left, so even more could happen. But this is a crazy race so far, Cisco, and it's given us a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, it has, and I'm kind of hoping you didn't just jinx it again for us, Jack, because I'm sure... Oh no, actually, props for Joe ran not the leader. It was next to the leader, so it almost went wrong again, but it was going through 5 this time, and it looks like the car just not under the 006 that time, so and he's going to pull the car out of the race. That's night done for the 006, and we haven't really even gotten to talk about the teams at all in this race, just because of all the goofiness that's been going on. So we'll talk about that in a moment, but Bill Lawrence, either way, doing a great job for his team, out front leading and just hoping nothing bad happens to him.
No, he's still got 4 laps to survive yet. His lead is slowly coming down by the looks of it, coaling at about 3.6 seconds at the moment, but I doubt Andrew Fiedler will be able to catch him and pass him in the next 4 laps, so he's just going to come up to a back marker. That back marker will be Kenneth Dummer. He's had his fair share of problems as well in this race. He's been around a few times at turn number 6, along with most of the field, to be honest. But Bill Lawrence at the moment just being able to keep his nose clean, run consistent laps, and he seems to be making... Oh, he made a little bit of a mistake coming through turn 4. Car got a little bit sideways, but he's just going to carry on, no drama there. And just keeping it clean at the moment is being the best strategy, Cisco.
Yeah, it is, and for Bill Lawrence, you have to think for that driver, just got to keep it nice and tidy between the lines, nothing crazy here, and he should be good to go. But you can't help but notice that those cars in his mirror are starting to get a little bit bigger there. The gap is closed up to about 2.27 as car going to go wide. Dunmer there got very wide going through the corner, and now going to be in traffic for Andrew Fiedler, and that's what can happen on the corkscrew. He decided to jump to the right side and give out that position to Bill Lawrence. So now Fiedler traffic, and he's going to jump to driver's left, so not going to be an issue for the drivers fighting for second and third right now, John Morgan and Andrew Fiedler. And you think for those two, do you want to fight between each other? Is it too late to try and go for the lead, or do you think they're going to try and team up to go for that lead?
I think they're probably going to team up and just try and catch him. They were both 7/10 faster than Bill Lawrence on that last lap. 3 laps still to go. That's quite a long way here. That's over sort of 10 kilometers. So Andrew Fiedler, he's definitely not lost this opportunity, but it's just a case of if you can catch him. But also we've seen people struggle to get past here today, and you've got to get past him to be able to win this race. So Bill Lawrence, as long as he can defend well, I think he's got this in the bag.
Yeah, he does. And now that I've found the proper link, we can talk about teams for the moment. And what's startling, Jack, is the fact that Steven Karkner and Bill Lawrence, those two were teammates. Karkner obviously didn't blew the motor up, so they just lost a ton of points right there. And you gotta feel for that team because they're doing so well. They had 1 and 2 basically cinched, and Karkner and Lawrence, now Lawrence is leading the race, which, I mean, they still have a driver in the lead, so great on them, but it just all went wrong so quickly for Steven Karkner. And you know, for the rest of these guys here, I have to think Fiddler and Morgan, those two are teammates, so almost, well, we could be looking at a better points day for Team 2.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to, and I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Morgan and Andrew Fiddler just both work together, just try and keep each other. Don't risk it to be able to keep that points, as you see Antonio Reyes up into 6th past John Unsby. But Steven Karkner is currently down in 11th. He's 5 seconds, 6 seconds behind Bruce Paul in 10th, so don't expect him to be creeping into the top 10 by the end of this race. But Steven Karkner, or Bill Lawrence's lead, is still about 2.4 seconds. Andrew Fiddler and John Morgan just behind him. I think they're just going to settle for 2nd and 3rd and bring those points home.
And edit double check on the names. That's John Morgan too, not Andy Morgan, so my apologies there. So not quite the run that Team 2 wanted. Unfortunately, they're not going to get 2nd and 3rd points, but still a great run nonetheless by John Morgan and by Andrew Fiddler here. So it stands to reason, depending on how the rest of this field is going to fall through this race, I'm really not sure where to give the advantage, because we got a lot of different drivers from a lot of different teams just kind of up and down the order. So I think evenly it's still going to be Team 1. Assuming Bill Lawrence can make it to the flag here as we're coming around to take the white flag. He just has to make it around one more time, and I think they are going to have the team points lead as far as points are concerned, because looking at it, no one else is really together helping getting two higher up teams here. So it looks like problems in the corkscrew for the 610 of Mark Leeson there, and that driver out of the Team 3 camp and driving off track here, just making sure all the traffic goes by here. Here comes Karkner here in the repaired vehicle of his, and we'll see him in the second race. And it's going to be interesting to see all these drivers who were really fast in the first race and just had something happen to them, Jack, and see what they can do in the second race.
Yeah, we've just also had the 13 of Richard Coulomb round at the corkscrew as well. So the corkscrew not being kind to people, Richard's just parked that. But Bill Lawrence, who's driven a flawless race so far today, as we just see him come through turn 6 up towards this corkscrew for the final time. So he's done a brilliant race so far, just kept it clean, kept it simple, kept it consistent, and that's brought him home the win.
And Lawrence going to come through now, the corkscrew. It looks good for him, so only a couple more turns left to go. He's going to come through the rainy curve into turn number 10, and Bill Lawrence is going to do it, I think, coming through into turn number 11. The number 17 for team number 1 is going to bring it home in first place. It didn't work for Steven Karkner, but it worked for Bill Lawrence. He's going to take the checkered flag victory for Bill Lawrence. And coming through second and third, Andrew Fiddler is going to get on that podium, as well as John Morgan. That gap spaced out between those guys, so those three not going to participate in the second race of the day. But a great job nonetheless for those guys. And Bill Lawrence, it's probably bittersweet for that team, because they had a really good shot at team points. It sadly wasn't the case, but now we're going to take a look at your full finishing order here as we start to get set for race number 2. Let's walk them through, Jack, what the full finishing result for race number 1 was. Bill Lawrence takes home the victory here. We'll try and talk to him here in post-race interviews. Andrew Fiddler comes home second. John Morgan going to get the final step on the podium in third. Those three will not move on into race number 2. Remigio De Pasqua is going to finish fourth. Fifth going to go to Jos Vanderven. Antonio Reyes is going to finish sixth. Seventh going to go to John Unsby. Eighth is going to go to Joel Martin. Ninth pool is going to round out your top 10. 11th going to go to Steven Karkner. 12th is going to go to Gerald Flores. 9th is going to go to Paolo Poncera. Spaldo is going to finish 13th. 14th going to go to Jim Oliver. 15th going to go to Ronald McManus. 16th to BJ Sally. 17th is going to go to Kenneth Dunmer. Jose Carlos Capodonico is going to finish 18th. 19th going to go to Wayne Galloway, and Richard Coulomby is going to finish 20th. Then you got Mark Robertson, Jay Friels, Mark Leeson, Joe Wren, Andy Morgan, rounds out your 25 car field here. But let's head over to victory lane and catch up with the driver who got it done here in race number 1, Bill Lawrence. Bill, well, to say we were surprised to see you in the lead there, I mean, it was just a lot of events happened, but either way, you ran the clean race, and here at Laguna Seca, that's such a hard thing to do. You bring it home on the top step of the podium. Talk us through it. It looked crazy out there from our vantage point. How was it for you on track? And we'll see if we can get Bill here worked up here in a moment. And while we're seeing if we can get Bill on the mic, I think I'll pass it. Oh, we got him? Yep. Bill, you got us?
I've got you. I was pressing the wrong switch there, guys. Sorry. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. So talk us through it, because, I mean, you surprised us. A bunch of incidents happened to the leaders. You were able to inherit and run a clean race to the end, made it work. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was wild, as you say. And it wasn't clean for me. I did lose it. I was fortunate that we had enough lead. I could get back in third, but then Stephen, I understand he had an engine failure, and Josh, he lost to the same place I did, which, attrition.
Yeah, and as a result, a good run for the team. Not what you guys wanted. Your teammate had problems early with the motor, but you know, you're going to be sidelined for the second race. What kind of advice would you give to the drivers here coming into race number 2, and what would you do?
I think patience and just run your own line as best you can. That's about it.
All right, Bill, we'll sponsor shout-outs. Who gets it done for you and the Team 1 team?
Well, once again, I'd like to thank Donald for his setups. They're awesome. Racers for Christ. And all the guys here on this group, a great bunch of guys to race with.
All right, well, that's Bill Lawrence, finishes on the top step of the podium. Bill, congratulations, and well, we won't see you in race 2, but we'll see you later on here in the season.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Jack Stiles, who's caught up with the guy who finished second in that race. That's Andrew Fiddler.
So Andrew, first of all, congratulations on your second place finish. Just tell us what it was like out there. We saw a lot of incidents with people, and we saw you got into one as well. Just take what that car felt like coming through them corners that were off camber.
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's one of the worst corners I think in our racing. That one, it's really hard, and you just go through it with just hoping for the best, really, which is what I did. But I came a cropper once, but. Anyway, it was only once.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for you. Just obviously, we saw you at the end. You were starting to chase down Bill Lawrence, and you did get close. Just take us through what you and John were doing together. Were you trying to work as a team to catch him, or were you just settling down?
No. John, I was just trying to keep it on track. But I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's all I was trying to do. And I thought if I can catch Bill, it'll be good. But I know he's quick, so I thought, well, maybe, you know, with a bit of luck I might do. But probably just ran out of laps, I think, in the end.
Yeah, but who got it done for you for Team 2 today?
Yeah, well, it's just it's a thanks to Donald for organising all this, and really great for all the guys that take part. We're all, everybody's really friendly, and it's a really good league. So thanks to everybody.
Andrew Fiddler, your second place finisher today. Back over to you, Cisco.
And we've caught up with the driver on the third step of the podium, John Morgan, and John. We saw you have a great battle with Andrew Fiddler, a couple other guys, Jos van der Ven, up there as well. And talk us through it. We've heard from both the drivers that this track is challenging in its own right, almost more than actually having to race the other guys. Would you have to agree with them, or what were you seeing out there?
Yes, it's a tricky track, so that there's quite a few places where you can lose the car pretty quickly, and I think it happened to Andrew in front of me, and I got back up behind him, and we had a pretty good race for several laps. But yeah, it's a tricky place. I think it took out a few cars in front of me, which helped me get up to third.
And now that you're in third, you don't have to worry about race number 2. But if you were going into race number 2, what would be the mindset? And if you could give any advice to the drivers, what do you think you'd tell them on how to get around here?
I think it, like you said, I mean, this track requires consistency, so I think it's more about chasing, more about making sure you hit all the marks on the track and drive consistent laps rather than trying to race the guy in front of you. You need to sort of race this racetrack first, and the race will come to you like it did for me.
Well, John Morgan, you finish on the podium. Sponsors, shout-outs. Who gets it done for you guys in Team 8?
Well, for just a big thank you to Donald Strout for putting this whole thing together and Racers for Christ. It's a great series. We have a lot of fun. It's one of the best groups of guys I race with on iRacing, and thank you for you guys for doing the broadcast. We enjoy them.
That's John Morgan. He finishes on the last spot on the podium. John, congrats, and we'll see you later on in the season here.
Thank you, sir.
So now as we wind up here from race number 1, Jack, it's unlike any race I've ever seen at Laguna Seca. Problems for a lot of the leaders out there, and all the drivers said it. Laguna Seca is a very, very challenging track, and I think it's going to take some resilience by these guys in race number 2 to be able to fight this track and see what they can do and what they can do to get up front and challenge for that lead, because I think it's almost more of a case of battling the track than it is actually battling the leader.
Yeah, I mean, I put this circuit up with sort of Road Atlanta and the Nordschleife on the level of difficulty, and what we're seeing today is definitely more of a race of attrition, which is something you'd expect to see in a 6, a 12, or a 24-hour race, rather than a sprint race, which is only meant to last half an hour. So it's very difficult to see how these drivers deal with Laguna Seca, and it's very interesting to see that the cars just aren't settling into a groove. We saw a lot of people being caught out by turn 6, a couple of people being caught out by the corkscrew as well, so it's going to be very interesting to see race 2.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to let Hugo fire up the old production truck, drive it around, drive it outside the race course, and then drive right back inside the race course. So join us here for race number 2 coming up in, well, let's say about 15 minutes or so. So Hugo going to get the production truck turned around, come back into the stadium, and we'll be here for qualifying here for race number 2. So we'll catch you on the flip side. And meanwhile, let's take a word from our sponsor and take a look at maybe a little bit of rallycross action. We'll see if Hugo has that queued up.
Recording.
Everyone pretty much getting single file early. You see everyone pretty much choosing the bottom side of the racetrack. We have one car up top. That's the 9 of Justin Thomas. So look for him to work the cushion and maybe see that inside line come off.
Graham Bolin, he is going super high side, super low side. It almost looks like he is taking corners 3 and 4 on the high side and 1 and 2 on the inside. No, now he's staying to the outside. I think he's defending from Justin Thomas. Thomas, though, is getting so very close. He's actually had a dab on the brakes as Thomas is going to pull to the inside line. He should get a better exit than Bolin. Is that seems that outside line just not coming into play just yet.
Thomas went from the top side to the bottom side just a few laps ago, and he still hasn't been able to get that job done just yet, Cam. That bottom side looks sticky. That 12 gets great traction off the corner, and that's how he's being able to maintain this. As again, they're still side by side through 3 and 4. The 9 gets clear, but just for a moment. But the momentum swings back to the 12. No, he's able to shut the door, and he immediately goes to the top in front of the 12. Bolin tries to cut it low. Not quite able to get there, though.
You know, racing the truck at Eldora versus, say, racing a sprint car at Eldora, it's not even comparable. It's just really slow motion. The car kind of floats around more. Challenging because they are so heavy, and it's just way different.
This is Circuit de la Sarthe, known around the racing world simply as Le Mans. Since 1923, this track in western France has been home to the world's original 24-hour endurance race. Coupled with the likes of the legendary Indianapolis 500 and the Monaco Grand Prix, the 24 Hours of Le Mans is widely regarded as the world's most prestigious endurance race, and it forms a part of motorsport's Treble Crown. The first race was held on the outskirts of Le Mans back in 1906 and was called the French Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix of its kind. It was run on public roads, with one lap of the circuit stretching just over 103 kilometers. Then, in 1922, the secretary of the AECO, Georges Durand, was given 100,000 francs to facilitate and devise a new race for the region. Durand took this as an opportunity to stage something completely unheard of, a 24-hour endurance race that would push the modern race car to its limits, where manufacturers would prove their worth to the world. Durand's original Circuit de la Sarthe stretched 17.2 kilometers and was entirely comprised of public roads. It ventured into the city of Le Mans and stretched to a tight hairpin before venturing on to the 8-kilometer long Mulsanne Straight. In 1929, the hairpin was bypassed due to safety concerns with expanding town suburbs, and safety was always a thing that changed and progressed the racetrack over the years. In 1932, the track as we know began to take shape. That was prompted by the construction of a new 1.5 kilometer bypass running from the start-finish area to the new entrance of the Mulsanne Straight, the now infamous Tête Rouge corner. This section featured the fast first curve that remains today, and what would later become the location of the famous Dunlop Bridge. Now, back in 1923, it was a field of 33 drivers that competed in the inaugural event, and their average speed, 57 miles an hour. By 1956, the field had increased to 49 cars, and they were running at nearly twice the average speed, at 104 miles an hour. As the cars became quicker and the competition rose, the track continued to evolve. For example, in 1972, the final section of the track was completely reconfigured to bypass the dangerous Maison Blanche kink. This included the addition of the Porsche curves and the revised Ford chicanes to slow the cars on the run from Annage corner to the start-finish line. These features remain today. One of the then traditional aspects of the race was the Le Mans start. Drivers would stand across to the track where the cars were parked, and then at the drop of the French tricolor, they ran to their car, climbed in, fired the engine, engaged first gear, and pulled away in a cloud of exhaust and burned rubber. Not surprisingly, this was discontinued for safety reasons, as drivers would either rush to buckle their seatbelts, or they didn't even bother buckling them at all. Dan Gurney, who together with AJ Foyt won the 1967 race, famously recounted using his knees to steer his Ford GT Mark II on their opening lap at speeds well above 200 miles an hour whilst he fastened his seatbelt. Since 1971, Le Mans has reverted to the more traditional rolling start used throughout endurance racing today. Le Mans will ever be known as the proving ground for car manufacturers and a lifelong dream for drivers. It continues to rank as the pinnacle of endurance racing that inspires similar races to take shape around the world. Things like the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, or the 24 Hours of Spa, or the Rolex 24 at Daytona. But there will only ever be one Le Mans. Experience Le Mans on iRacing.
And as Jack is dropping money on his mic, hello and welcome back to the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League here on RaceSpotTV. Streaming live on iRacing Live, Cisco Scaramuza alongside Jack Stiles, Hugo Louise in the production truck. Hugo was able to get the semi. It took us a little while because he had to drive the semi out onto these hilly California rolls and then pull a U-turn. So it took him a little while, but we're back here and we're ready to cover round number 2 on these guys. About 5 minutes left in qualifying. Now we actually have some time to talk about what we're going to see here on track. And Jack, gonna be interesting. Race number 2, we saw a lot of problems for the leaders just coming down to the track fighting them, and I think we'll see the same here in race number 2. These guys have to be careful with how they're driving these cars.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing the top 2 guys again, top 3 guys who we saw from the first race. Antonio Reyes, Jos van der Ven, Stephen Karkner, the 3 who were up the front of our field and got caught out by Laguna Seca. They're back again in race 2, and they're currently the top 3 in qualifying. Antonio Reyes, on pole for with a 118.1. So this race is going to be close between that top 3, but John Unsby 118.4. The top 5 is currently covered by 0.3 of a second, so this is going to be a close race, Cisco.
Yeah, it is, and we could talk a little bit more. We have a little bit more time to talk about teams in such case. This series runs off a team-based system. They do a lot with the team points. There is a payout for the driver championship, but also because of the way this league works, a lot more emphasis is put on the team drivers and working together with your teammates. And these teams basically purpose-built to have a kind of team leader and then a bunch of drivers to help learn from that other team leader. So we saw in race number 1 what almost looked like a good sweep for Team 1. It was going to be Stephen Karkner and Bill Lawrence out front. And unfortunately for Karkner, it all went wrong in the gearbox. And as a result, he's in race number 2. Lawrence, however, did move on, as did Andy Morgan, as did Andrew Fiedler and John Morgan, rather. So those 3 moved on. Everyone else in race number 2 and has the opportunity for, I think, especially for Karkner and for Antonio Reyes as well, who's on pole once again. A little bit of redemption, Jack.
Yeah, that is, and I think they're going to want that win. They're going to want them good points from race 2 that they just couldn't pick up from race 1, which was unfortunate for them, but it's just going to make race 2 that little bit more exciting. We're going to see 3 guys who we know are fast, we know are all similar pace. They're all going to be going for that win, and they're all going to want it as much as each other.
Absolutely, and now just waiting on qualifying to finish up here. We got about 2.5 minutes or so, and let's take a look at the 007 here, because he's got a pole time and he's running laps out there for consistency. Let's hop on board the 007. We have a little bit of time to do so we can talk through this Monster Raceway Laguna Seca. And Jack, you have a lot more time behind the wheel than I do as of late. So as a driver, I assume you've driven this Pro Mazda, maybe not necessarily here, but what are sort of the challenges that you're seeing from the driver's cockpit view, and what makes this track just so difficult?
I'm not really a big single-seater guy, I'm more of a GT guy, but what I'm seeing here is you get those off-camber corners, they're going to unsettle the car, they're going to unsettle the weight distribution in the car, and it just maybe unsettles the rear end a bit, and it's going to bring around, you're probably going to get some high-speed oversteer as well. We see that a lot with the new GTE cars, the Ferrari 488 and the Ford GTE, or I do anyway. But these cars, they just don't look settled on the circuit. The camber is almost throwing them off. We're also seeing bumps coming through the corners as well, but we're just not seeing the drivers being able to tame the car to the circuit and just being able to get the pace they need out of it, as we see Antonio Reyes coming around that last corner to finish his second qualifying lap, actually. But it's just not looking like the car is fully planted on the circuit, and Laguna Seca is definitely taking victims today, Cisco.
Yeah, it has, and into the Andretti hairpin of turn number 1 in a very tough double apex corner coming through this complex. And then you have a lot of this flat track area. This is probably one of the better places to pass, but it's so hard to do so because a lot of these corners are just so one groove. It's very hard to make it work. On the outside, Antonio Reyes finding out just what those sausage curbs can do. And you see that little red curb to the inside of the zebras, and a couple guys have hit those today. And that's basically, in these Pro Mazdas, it is in the Tim Tops, and even more in the Pro Mazdas, you hit that, you're going off track.
Yeah, it is. I mean, these cars got very low ride heights. If you hit that sausage dog curb, you're going to probably either damage the floor if you hit it far enough into the car, which means you're doing really well, or you may be going to damage your front wing, damage your suspension, and it's going to throw you off ride into the gravel here at Laguna Seca. And a lot of the sausage dog curbs are on the high-speed corners where these cars are reaching speeds of over 100 miles an hour, and it's just going to unsettle the car, and it's not going to be right for the driver. They're going to make mistakes, and I think we're going to see that race of attrition that we saw in race 1.
Yeah, it will. Well, qualifying just wrapping up here, hitting that 10-minute mark, so we're going to jump to the outside and take a look at the starting grid here for race number 2 from the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League. Race number 2, and no different on the pole. Antonio Reyes a little bit slower for time at 118.1, about 3 or 4 tenths off what he did in race number 1. Jos van der Ven does only 2 tenths worse, and he's going to start to the outside of the 007. And to third is going to be Steven Karkner. Fourth is going to go to John Unsby. Fifth is going to go to Remigio de Pasqua. Sixth is going to go to Gerard Larison. Seventh is going to go to Joel Martin. Eighth will go to Andy Morgan. Ninth will go to Bruce Poole. And Ronald McManus rounds out your top 10.
In 11th position, we're going to see Paulo Bonacera, and alongside him, Jim Oliver in that number 22 car. 13th position is going to be taken by Ken Dummer, one of the people we saw slipping up a lot coming through turn 6 in that first race. Jay Fields is going to be alongside him in position number 14. 15 is going to be just Gianni Rospaldo. 16, the Canadian Richard Colum. 17, Mark Gleason. 18th, Jose Carlos Campidico. 19th, PJ Sally. And then that rounds off your grid.
Yeah, it does, and a little bit of a discussion going on in the comment section right now, talking about the heritage of some of the drivers in the league, and there is a lot of experience on the real life side of things here on track. We talk about guys who have run in the SCCA, guys who have run in NASCAR, guys who have run in Formula 2000, and a little bit in Indy Lights as well. So a lot of racing experience on the real life side of things, and this is all stuff that these guys are able to translate into the virtual world. A lot of these guys have experience either in Indy Lights or in a Formula 4 type scenario, Jack, and it helps a lot for these drivers because they have that racing intuition that they can fall back on here on track. And yeah, maybe your butt's not actually in the seat, but nonetheless, it does help to have that real life experience.
It does, and we obviously Donald Strout, who is the person who runs this series, he's not here tonight, unfortunately. He ran back in NASCAR in the Winston Cup back in 1987, and he still runs today, I believe, in club events in America. And you've got people like Jos van der Ven, who, although he never has been out on circuit in a car, he lived his life as a professional bus driver. So we have people who do have experience of whether it's on track or on the road, who know how to handle a car, how to handle even bigger things in a car sometimes. But it's that on-track experience that they're bringing into the sim, and they're just going to help it to teach it to other people and just improve racecraft in the league.
It does, and it's interesting to see, you know, maybe the technical expertise as far as the virtual world, maybe not the highest level for these guys, but you trade that for the real life experience, and it makes for one of the most interesting leagues on iRacing. There's really nothing else like this league on iRacing right now, and it's interesting to hear some of the stories. Ryan Karkner in the comment section talking about his dad Steven in the series, and how, you know, he's been able to get into that, and it's a really interesting connection. I think it's a unique connection that a lot of these guys might be able to make with a little bit of a younger generation like us, Jack. Seeing these guys on track, a lot of experience behind the wheel of these cars.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'd love to talk to some of these guys. I mean, I'm not legally old enough to drive a car, so this is the best I'm going to get. But just seeing these guys who've been around for so long, as we see Antonio Reyes is already taking a jump, he's taking the green pace car in, and I think he might have even jumped the start there because he overtook the pace car. But we are green here at Laguna Seca for race 2, but it's looking at this real life experience that then translate down into here, which gives us that such close and such contested racing, Cisco.
Yeah, it does, and down into the Andretti hairpin this time for everyone, and a little bit of a battle back between the 58 of Bruce Poole or the 58 of Andy Morgan and Bruce Poole as well. Morgan, of course, was up towards the front of the field earlier on, but in race number 1, I should say, but unfortunately he fell through the grid. And for Antonio Reyes, it's back to business here. He's back up at the lead, and you have to think when he gets to that corkscrew corner, Jack, it's going to be curious to see, is he going to take it a little bit gentler than what he did in race number 1 on lap 1?
Maybe not. We just saw him get a little bit squiggly coming through turn 6 already. We aren't even 1 lap into this race. Come on, Antonio, get your grip together. But I don't think you're going to see these guys settling back. They're going to want glory or nothing today because they've lost that opportunity to win in the first race. They're going to want that opportunity to win in the second race. They get that second opportunity, and they're going to take every single chance they can get. Antonio Reyes has got a lead of already 8/10, nearly a second after the first lap. He's already got a second and a half on Stephen Cartner back in third, so he is definitely already trying to pull out that gap.
Yeah, Reyes doing an excellent job, and Kartner trying to claw it back. And Jos van der Ven, who was up kind of in the fight for a lot of race number 1, just never seemed to work out for him when he had his incident in the race. It knocked him out of what could have potentially been a podium spot for that driver of the 167, so he's making sure to take the opportunity now, get as many points as he can. As Kartner going to hit the red curb on the inside, and it's going to get worse. Kartner makes contact with Unsby, and looks like heavy damage to that 75, and that's going to be a tow on the rollback back to pit road. And for Stephen Kartner, just sadly, the bad luck just does not end in race number 2, and it all went wrong. He hit the curb straight into that yellow car of John Unsby in the 61, and unfortunately for Kartner, race number 2 done, dusted, and good night.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him. We saw that issue in race number 1. He's just had another bit of unlucky luck again in number 2, but Kenneth Dummer's lost 4 positions there already, down to 17th position. He's not having a great race either, but Antonio Reyes is currently leading your pack over Jos van der Ven by nearly 2 seconds already. We're only on the second lap of this race, but Stephen Kartner, it's extremely unlucky for him. We obviously saw him have that engine go, and then in the second race, he just got on that sausage dog curb, and Laguna Seca took another victim who looked like he was going to challenge for that win in the second race.
Yeah, it did, and we'll flash back to the battle for third at the moment because that's decently close, and that's between Unsby, who's probably going to have a little bit of damage. He does, you can see on the left front of the wing is massively folded up, so he's going to have to fight those downforce issues, and for De Pasqua at this point, it might just be a waiting game.
Yeah, it probably is. He's currently second and fourth. He is about 5.5 seconds back from Antonio Reyes. He's 4/10 back from John Unsby in third place there. So he's just, I think, going to be waiting in the clutches, waiting to see if we have any more incidents like we've already seen. We're not even 3 laps into this race, Cisco. We're already seeing action, and we're already seeing the attrition that we saw in this first race.
Yeah, we are, and De Pasqua are going to close in right now on Unsby as they head into the corkscrew here, and De Pasqua completely closes the gap right there as Unsby got very squiggly coming out, going down the hill, and De Pasqua will have to try and pass him here, having a little bit of issues, but De Pasqua looking to driver's right. This time Unsby going to go to block, and they're going to head into turn 11 in a big block by the number 61, and Unsby will not be denied, and De Pasqua is going to have to try it going into the hairpin because that was a huge block out of the 61.
Yeah, definitely, and that was good defending there coming into that last corner. De Pasqua just not going to be able to get it done coming down into Andretti hairpin for the 4th time, but John Unsby just showing his colours. He's already got front wing from that incident with Stephen Kartner, but he's just holding his own. Little bits. Oh, the car got a little bit sideways. De Pasqua going slightly wide coming out through turn 4, but these guys, they want that 3rd position. They want it well, and they're only covered by about 4/10 at the moment.
Aramigo closing in again, and I think it's going to be a case where he just needs to run consistently. I think the damage to Unsby might be enough where he may not be able to get away from De Pasqua because I've not seen the speed out of that car where he'll be able to hold on. Gerald Felician just hit the sausage dog curb, and he's going to be under a tire right behind these guys. That's for 5th right now. Joel Martin going to flash past on the left side. Got to make sure he slows it down for the corkscrew. Does so, and Florison went from being decently ahead of Joe Martin to now losing that position, now under fire from Martin's teammate Bruce Poole in the 57.
Yeah, he is, and we're just seeing battles up and down the field now. Obviously, the second race, people are going to want that. They're going to push a little bit harder because they know they haven't got another chance. all the points they can take away from today is going to reflect coming into the season with the point standings, as we see Antonio Reyes setting the fastest lap of this race already, 1:17.6. That's over a second faster than everyone else in the 118. So Antonio Reyes, he's already got a lead of about 5 seconds, so he's showing his colours already at the front of this field.
And nearly went 3 wide through the Andretti hairpin. I don't recommend it, but Andy Morgan was taking a look at it. He didn't have enough of a slipstream to be able to do anything, but Gerard Felicien, I've been saying that wrong, I apologize, but that was just sketchy right there, because it was 3 cars battling. Morgan looked like he wanted to take the middle, didn't have the run, and for Gerard, he's just been falling further and further down the field, and it's just not at all what he wanted to see. The 17 hit the curb 1 time, and as a result, has lost a ton of positions because of it. And once again, Laguna Seca clawing back, claiming another driver.
Yeah, it is. It's being harsh today on these drivers in the 60-plus racing adventures. Probably not what they wanted, but these guys are not going to let it go. Unsby and De Pasqua have just stretched out their gap a bit now. Unsby has got about a 1.7 gap over De Pasqua. We had a very slow lap last time round, 7/10 slower, but Andy Morgan and Bruce Paul, they really are letting each other go at the moment, and they are definitely going to try and they're probably going to take this battle for quite a long while in the 57 and the 58.
And if we can get it, we need to show a replay of the 75 just now heading through the corkscrew. I'll see if I can get Hugo to cue it up, because Steven Karkner, he's had a lot of bad luck today, and he is done with it, because he just made a pass going into the corkscrew and made it work, went into the dirt. I've never seen that work before, Jack, but the driver of the 75, that is a very angry driver behind that wheel.
Yeah, definitely. You probably couldn't even get a matchstick between those 2 cars, the gap that was left for Steven to get through. But brilliant move by the number 75 car. He is on a charge to get back up, but he is 1 lap down on everyone else. So I think his day is done. I think he'll just be doing it to maybe trying to get some points and just come back from that attrition rate that we saw in the first race, which I'm pretty sure we're going to see again in the second race.
Yeah, we are. Oh, problems for Pasqua. The number 4 has gone around in the corkscrew area. He's going to have to wait for the traffic to come around. There goes, I believe, nope, more cars coming. And this is the problem with the corkscrew, is because it's a blind turn. We're early enough where there's so much traffic. It's going to take Pasqua finally getting back on track now, but you hate to see that, Jack, because it's a case because of that corner. There's no good way to re-enter the track from where he was sitting.
No, there isn't, and that car tried to take off coming down through the corkscrew. Both the front wheels were out of the air, so off the ground. So that car just obviously taking a little bit too much speed, and around he went into the wall. So De Pasqua already down to P12, outside of the top 10 within 7 laps of this race, or the 6 laps of the start of this race. So one of our big contenders already out. So John Martin up into 4th, the underdog really, who's just sitting there waiting in the clutches. He's still about 16 seconds, probably a bit less than that on back from Antonio Reyes in the lead, but Antonio Reyes is currently leading this race by a long way, and as long as he doesn't make a mistake, I think he's got it in the bag already.
Yeah, and that's ultimately the case, where the battle is not with the other cars at this point for Antonio Reyes. Actually, for a lot of the drivers up here, they're all pretty much on their lonesome, so a lot of these guys just going to have to fight this track and be consistent for the rest of this race here. 14 laps to go at the line for Antonio Reyes, and they're just gonna be consistent, hit your marks, and he should be good to go. But that's very hard to do at this Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and off camber corners, no camber corners like what we saw going through the hairpin there and kind of this flat area. This track has absolutely everything. It's one of the tracks that I think, if you can figure this circuit out, you should be good for the most part, as Reyes hits the curb a little bit there. But we mentioned that this is one of the tracks that comes with the iRacing subscription service. If you are a new member, iRacing.com/World of Outlaws, we keep telling you it's good to the end of the year. Go there. The deals there are amazing. So go ahead, check that out. If you're new to the sim, you want to get on the sim, if you like what you see on track here, iRacing.com/World of Outlaws, that's where you want to go for all the amazing deals going on right now for iRacing. But Jack, this track, everyone has it. Everyone's driven it at least once. Even if you're a rookie, you've probably gone here in terms of the way the schedule rolls. But either way, I feel like if you can tame this track, you should be good for about 60% of most road courses on the service.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the road courses on this service are definitely not easy. I spend most of my time racing road racing on iRacing, so, well, lots of racing in that sentence, but Laguna Seca is definitely difficult. It took me a long time to master here, and it's going to take everyone else a long time to master, but Andy Morgan in the number 58 has just had a little spin coming through turn 5. He's dropped down to position number 12, so that's unfortunate for him, but the number 44, what's happened there, Cisco?
Looks not really sure. We're gonna have to pull it up and what happened, and he's on the pit box, right? I don't know. That might be equipment failure. That, you know what that looks like to me, Jack? That looks like the throttle might have stuck wide open on the 44, because he came out at 2, went into the dirt, and lost all steering for the most part. I'm
seeing him. Yeah, I'm seeing him at turn. I think that's turn number 5. He's just doing donuts. That doesn't really. Yeah, I reckon he's had an equipment failure there for Jose Carlos. That's unfortunate for him. He was doing very well, but that's just very unfortunate for him. But Antonio Reyes just continuing to lead this race.
Andy Morgan also out of this race as well, as parked that car behind the pit wall, so he's done for the night as well, and that's shocking because he was 11th. And next thing we know, he's gone. So, odd things happening here at Monster Raceway Laguna Seca. Not sure what happened. Oh, it was another incident where he just won the dirt and decided, no, that's it. So, parking it is the number 58. He's done for the night. So, Andy Morgan, not the race he wanted to have. So now, after all those incidents, we're going to see if we can run through the order here and see if we can find any sort of battles. There is a little bit of a battle going on between Ronald McManus, Jim Oliver, between those two going on right now for that 9th place position. Richard Coulomb Richard Coulomb behind these guys as well in that 10th place position. So that's your closest battle for the most part. All these guys, for the most part, pretty spread out and just focusing on racing the track at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Antonio Reyes at the front of this field, he's got a 4-second lead over Jos van der Ven. So he's pretty much planted at the top of this field. And Jos van der Ven has got about 7 seconds back to John Unsby in 3rd, who's then got 3 seconds back to John Martin in 4th. So your top 4 currently covered by about 17, 18 seconds at the moment. So the top 5, by about 18 seconds. So we're seeing a very stretched out field here in the second race. People just being able to tame the cars a bit more, behaving themselves a bit better. So obviously we have seen the odd incident from the likes of Andy Morgan and Stephen Karkner, but it's just settling down, and Antonio Reyes is doing a sterling job with about 11 laps to go.
Yeah, he does. Remigio Pasqua just got past Richard Coulomb. We've been watching this battle between these guys. De Pasqua, remember, was up there earlier on, and problems for that driver in the 4. It was he was in 4th when the position happened, so De Pasqua now having to flash back through the field. He's back in the top 10, but still has a lot of ground makeup. I don't think he's going to be able to get back to where he was before the incident happened, because he was just sitting off the corkscrew and he lost so much time having to wait for traffic to come by, and he's been passing a whole lot of cars trying to get back up through the field. And what's going to be interesting is he's catching up between these 2 guys battling in front of him, and it's to be a case where I think that car's probably going to have a little more speed than those 2, but he's going to have to find his way past a battle already in progress.
Yeah, definitely, and we aren't seeing many battles out on the circuit at the moment. We've got Jim Oliver, who's right up at the back of Ronald McMarcus, but we just see the 11 spun Richard Coulomb there coming through. I believe that is, again, turn 5, so turn 5 is becoming almost like a new turn 6 from race.
Oh, problems! Corkscrew, and it's going to be big contact. Oliver McManus, and De Pasqua got a piece of that as well, and going full Rick Allen on that one, but we'll get a replay, show you what happened. We'll see if we can hop on board Oliver on that one, and the car in front of him, 76, spun right in the corkscrew, right in the apex. Oliver got on the brakes, and for Remigio, he didn't even see the accident. That's how blind that corner is. Next thing you know, there was a car slammed on the brakes in front of him, and just nowhere to go for those drivers. And for the 4, just more problems for him, and that was a nasty incident.
Yeah, we've just had the 22 round of Jim Oliver again coming through. He's just stopped coming through turn 10. I think he's having lots of problems here, probably a lot of damage now. And he pulled off to the side of the road coming through turn 10 by the looks of it. He just didn't stop, almost like he was letting cars through, came back onto the circuit and had a slight problem in there. So I think his day is over there, and that's just unlucky for him coming through the corkscrew. But Antonio Reyes just seems to be avoiding all the carnage at the moment and just sitting there at the front twiddling his thumbs leading this race.
And I think he couldn't be any happier doing that right now. 9 laps to go just this time by, so Reyes closing in here. The race starting to wrap up for him. We're past the halfway point for him, so excuse me again, I apologize. But for Reyes, it's a case he just needs to just have a nice clean race to the end of it, have nothing happen to him. I'm not jinxing him, I'm just saying nothing. Okay, and nearly throws it away right there as Mark Leeson was right in the way. Reyes comes on the radio, just says thanks for that incident there, and caught my breath a little bit there, and I almost immediately jinxed him. But all Reyes has to do is just sit in the car, mind his manners, and he doesn't have to run terribly hard, and this race should be his.
Yeah, we just had the 27 round Joel Martin, who was in 4th position coming through in that last corner. Got a little bit too wide out into the gravel. The rear wheel spun a bit, and he went round and almost narrowly avoided the pit wall. That's good driving from Joel. So he has dropped down to 7th position on the back of Paolo Bonacera in the number 7 car. But that promotes John Unsby up into 3rd and Bruce Poole up into 4th.
And his teammate, the 91 of Jay Friels, he also spun off going into the corkscrew. Not a lot of damage to that 91, but another incident there, so he loses more time. So for that team, I believe Team 6, if I'm not mistaken, those guys not having the race they want to, but nonetheless trying to claw it back and seeing what they can do. And no, it was Team 7, I was close. But those guys just, you know, when it rains, it pours at Laguna Seca, it seems, for these teams. And we saw it with Karkner. Lawrence was able to hold on to it, but you gotta think, if you got a team out here, you guys have to just band together and just be like, look, we just have to focus. And that might be something where team camaraderie might be able to help you a little bit, because you can talk to your teammates and help calm each other down and just run clean through the rest of the race, because there's not a lot of just cutthroat battles going on through the field for the most part. Everyone very spread out, as Jos Vanderven is going to go around, and he was right behind his teammate, and he's going to end up in the gravel. Turn 6 problems once again for the 167, and we'll have to take a look at what happened. It wasn't his teammate in front of him, it was Kenneth Dunmer, so not really sure what happened there. Oh, he just got a piece of the curb, and next thing you know, he winds up facing the wrong way and on the wrong side of the track in turn 6.
Yeah, he just, that turn 6, that off-camber corner, once again taking another victim. Jos Vanderven, who was in 2nd, he's only dropped to 3rd. He's been quite lucky there. He's just dropped behind John Unsby, but he's getting some awful luck. A lot of these drivers up at the front maybe pushing a little bit too hard. We nearly see him make another mistake coming through that second to last corner. Coming through that last corner to complete lap number 14. 7 laps to go here at Laguna Seca, but this race just full of action. The race of attrition is definitely showing, but Antonio Reyes just doing what he needs to do, putting in solid, consistent, but very fast laps up at the front. He's currently got a lead of 16.5 seconds, Cisco.
Yeah, fantastic job by the 007, and he just needs to hold on for the rest of this race, because with that incident by Vanderven, that gap is huge now back to John Unsby right now. The time showing is almost 17 seconds, so he doesn't even have to run extremely quickly. He just needs to run consistently, and the driver from Iberia should be good to go to the end of this. And behind him, John Unsby. At this point, I think just hold on to the podium, bro, because you look not too far down the road and Vanderven's gonna lose it again. Never mind. And that could be a whole lot worse, because this time he spun turn 6 going the other way and made contact with that tire barrier. And for the 167, he just can't that turn 6 just doesn't seem to agree with that car.
No, it doesn't. You got a little bit wider out this time, where the camber, actually, the feel of the camber is a bit worse on the car. Just spun out the rear, just got some high-speed oversteer, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing steering damage on that. Jos Vanderven has towed back to the pits. That is his race over, so another contender out. But that just promotes Bruce Poole up into 3rd. Gerald Florison, look at him, proper underdog here in the number 17 car. He's up into 4th position now, Cisco.
Consistency wins championships, and for Gerard there in the 17, teammate to Van der Ven. So where one teammate falls, another one picks up once again. We saw it happen in race number 1. It's happening again in race number 2. And Van der Ven, actually not teammates, but similar paint scheme. So that's confusing me, guys. Come on. But we'll have to see. Maybe, that might have been actually a replacement, because I'm not sure if Tony Webster's in this race or not. So that could have been swap around drivers. So we'll have to find that out for you. But nonetheless, Gerard taking over that 4th place position. And at this point, he just needs to run consistently. Or actually what he could do is just go up there and race Bruce Poole, because Poole not too far up the road from him. That's going to be probably your closest battle, and that's going to be a battle on the podium. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. We've got the 27 and the 4 a bit further back for P6 and P7. John Martin, Remigo, Di Pasqua, respectively, as Pasqua maybe looks like he meant no, it's just racing not keeping up with things. But Di Pasqua, he's currently sitting about 9/10 of a second back from John Martin as they come up to the corkscrew for the 16th time. And just making a little bit of mistake, losing quite a long time. That battle has now gone, the gap out to nearly 2 seconds. So Bruce Poole and Gerard Florison is definitely now your closest battle on circuit, Cisco.
Yeah, it is, and those guys going to be battling for a spot on the podium. You see Van der Ven coming on. He's on the pit access road right now. I'll have to see where he's going to come out in this battle. He is going to be behind the teammate in that orange and yellow car of Gerard Florison there. So those guys going to go at it here, and Gerard's lost a little bit of time to that driver in 3rd place of Bruce Poole, and the driver from Team 7 trying to hold down the fort for those guys. The other two, Jay Friels and Joe Martin, not having the race they wanted. Martin had an incident earlier on. Poole really at this point the only driver yet from that team to make a dirt excursion for those guys, so trying to hold on to the car, and he's doing an excellent job right now in the 57s. They head up to the corkscrew right now, and for Gerard, just got to close in and wait to see when he can make that move and make sure he gets a clean bit of track, and he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely, and he's just not close enough at the moment. Now back, he's within about 7/10 of Bruce Poole in 3rd place in the 57 car, but he's just not close enough to challenge just yet. But don't count him out, 4 laps to go. He's still got time to be able to catch him and get past him. There's still a long way to go in this race, Cisco. Another 12 kilometers, which in these little cars is a hell of a long way. It's going to be another sort of 5-6 minutes on this race, so I don't count Gerard out yet for a podium.
Absolutely, and it's spaced out here at Raceway Laguna Seca, very spaced out, and apart from that battle that we're seeing for the edge of the podium, everyone else kind of in a time trial kind of scenario here, just nice clean laps, and that's not really a battle, but Steve Karkner trying to get through the field here, and that's a car that's still a lap down, but he's cutting through the field. You see him go by Gulum there in the 11, and as we saw him not afraid to make some dangerous moves, is that 75, and unfortunately for him, not the race he wanted to have to rebound on. But we return to this battle between Poole and Florison, and between those two, it's just going to be a battle of who is able to get the better cut through the corner. You see, Poole had a better cut through the corkscrew that time. But I'm having to think, this is almost like a chess game. Is Florison, how many moves can he think ahead of Poole? Where's Poole going to block him? And, you know, everything that comes with side-by-side racing, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Florison, I don't think he's close enough to challenge just yet. 3 laps remaining in this race, now going on to lap number 19. But Bruce Poole is just holding his own at the moment in 3rd position. Done a sterling drive for him. So he's getting there. Florison is also getting there. Jos van der Ven in the background as well, just on his charge back. He's going to be 1 lap down, but he's going to come flying past Gerard Florison in a minute, I think, and he could upset this battle completely, Cisco.
Another Mark Leeson there off track, and the 3 teammates were there briefly on screen, and varying degrees of success and disappointment for those guys. A lot of this race has been even more than I thought a race of attrition. I really didn't think this race was going to take out as many cars as it did, but Laguna Seca never fails to impress, and this track is a tall order for any driver on track. I mean, we've seen amazing battles here. I think back to the battle in IMSA in 2009 between Flying Lizard and Corvette back in the day, and I believe it was actually 2011, but nonetheless, great battles there, great battles in virtual world here. This track can produce some fantastic racing, or it can be almost like a rally stage challenge for some of these guys, because they have to hit their marks perfectly because of all the gravel and because of that corkscrew corner. It can go one of two ways, and today it's taken kind of the more challenging track route.
Yeah, definitely. We just had the number 52 as well for PJ Sally in the wall as well. The car just snapped coming through turn number 2. That's his race over, unfortunately for him, with 2 laps to go. But it looks like Bruce Paul is going to hold his own. Gerard Florison just dropped back a little bit from Bruce Paul there, and he's not going to be able to challenge for that 3rd place anymore. So Bruce Paul looks like he's going to be comfortably inserted in 3rd place on the podium. But Antonio Reyes, he has to be the dominance of our race today. Cisco, he has a lead of 22.5 seconds as he runs a bit like coming out from turn 10, but he can afford to do that because he can basically just sit there and poodle to the end with 1 lap to go.
Yeah, and Hugo Louis counting that track rejoin, and it doesn't matter. He's the leader. He's got a huge lead here. He doesn't have to worry about it. So as they come into turn number 1 into the Andretti hairpin for the final time today, Antonio Reyes looking to just make it 1 more lap, and it's all over here from Laguna Seca. Just 1 more lap, and let's see if we can hop on board for the 007 for this final lap. Oh, no problems. 167 around again. Never mind. Cut that off because I believe Van der Ven just went around in turn 6 again. So looks like more struggles for that driver in that corner. Turn 6. It wouldn't be this race without turn 6 striking another driver just 1 more time, just showing us how challenging this track can be, Jack. As Reyes now going to make it through turn 6 nice and easy. And it looks like he took it even a little bit slowly there just to make sure it didn't catch him.
Yeah, definitely, and he's just made that mistake before. He's done it again, which is unfortunate, as we see Antonio Reyes coming into the corkscrew for the final time. He's just got to navigate a few more corners and he will be home safely, but turn 6 has called out a lot of people today out of both races. We've seen the corkscrew catch out a couple, same with turn 5 as well, but let's just get this car to the end. Antonio Reyes has done a brilliant job there. He's definitely just coasting it to the end now because his lead has come down by 10 seconds.
It wasn't the way he wanted in race number 1, but revenge is a dish best served cold for Antonio Reyes. He gets revenge at Laguna Seca and wins race number 2. He's lifting off. He doesn't even have to worry because he's got a huge lead. Race over, checkered flag. Antonio Reyes, 2nd place. Now just coming across the line. John Unspeaking across the line, and then we have to go all the way back to Bruce Poole and Gerard Fleurisson there for 3rd and 4th, and they're looking across the line here. So race over for those guys, and a dominant performance by the 007, Jack.
Yeah, definitely. He's let it from the word go. Lights to flag victory there for Antonio Reyes. Brilliant drive by him, setting the fastest lap of the race as well. No one else could even touch the 1:17s, and he got a 1:17.4, so he did a brilliant job today. Brilliant job by everyone. John Ansby as well finishing 2nd, and Bruce Poole had up into 3rd. But our biggest mover today, Mark Robertson in the number 43 car, up 13 positions, finishing 8. Good drive by him today to see him up that far.
Absolutely, and for Mark Robertson, just adding on to the point total for those guys, just helping any way he can. And you know what? He's part of Team 1, and they already had a great points day, so helping out Team number 1 is Mark Robertson. But let's take a look at your final finishing order here from Laguna Seca. And at the top of the standings, Antonio Reyes, dominating performance. As he said, lights to flag, gets it done here. The 007 wins. 61 of John Unspeak, going to come home 2nd. 3rd, going to go to the 57 of Bruce Poole. Gerard Fleurisson is going to finish 4th. 5th, going to go to Paolo Bonserra. 6th is going to go to Joel Martin. 7th, going to go to Remigio De Pasqua. 8th, going to go to Mark Robertson, our biggest mover. 9th, going to go to Ronald McManus. And Ricard Colum is going to finish 10th.
11th place is going to be Gianna Raspaldo in the 48 machine, and 12th Kenneth Dummer is going to bring that 07 machine home. Jay Friels in 13th and Jim Oliver in 14th. Mark Lyson, good race from him, up 2 positions from where he started in 15th, and Jos van der Ven, lots of 2 unlucky races for him down in 16th.
17th going to go to Stephen Karkner. 18th going to go to PJ Sally. Wayne Galloway is going to finish 19th. 20th going to go to Andy Morgan. 21st going to go to Carlos Campodonico. 22nd going to go to Bill Lawrence and Andrew Fiddler. The last 2 not able to make the grid, and they weren't on the grid to begin with. So those 2 finishing out your running order here. 21 cars were on track. We're going to take a moment to step aside and get our drivers in here for some post-race interviews. You're watching the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. We'll be back in a moment with some post-race interviews.
Recording.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is dirt racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca here, just wrapping up the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League race here from Laguna Seca. Race 2 is in the bag, Jack. Thoughts from the race? A little bit less dramatic than what we saw in race number 1, but still a great race nonetheless, and another challenging bout put down by the track itself for these guys.
Yeah, definitely. We still saw the incidents we saw in race 1 in that second race, but much closer racing, much more competitive and much cleaner racing in race 2. Obviously that move from Stephen Kalkner up the inside into the corkscrew, I think that's one of the best moves I've ever seen on iRacing. Just lunged, went for it, why not, and just went down the inside, and that was a brilliant move by him. But we've seen some great racing today over both races. Congrats to both the winners, Antonio Reyes especially for that lights to flag and such a dominant victory by the end of that second race. So well done to everyone here, and it's definitely been an interesting one to watch.
Absolutely. Antonio Reyes and John Owensby not here. However, we will catch up with the driver who finished on the last step of the podium. Bruce Poole gets it done for his team. And Bruce, we talked with a lot of the drivers in race number 1 about how challenging this track is, and not quite as many incidents as we saw in race number 1, but nonetheless still a challenging track. You raced in both races. What did you see out there from your vantage point?
Hi guys. Wow, I had a hard race in excuse me, in race 1. I spun on the first lap and I did about everything wrong I could, but second time around it wasn't so bad. I was trying to keep up with my teammate Joel, and he had an incident and I got by him, and Gerard and I had quite a battle for most of the race, and I was very surprised to see that I was in 3rd place. I thought I was 5th, 6th, somewhere around there.
Well, you absolutely had a great race for that one lined up. It all went in your favor for that one, and you know, we're looking forward here on the schedule coming up in the not too distant future. Actually, for next week for you guys, it's going to be Suzuka, then you go to Montreal, Road Atlanta, and then we'll see you again at Road America on August 9th. But size up Suzuka coming up for you guys, because that's going to be the next race. Of course, the Grand Prix circuit going there. That's going to be very interesting. Back to a normal single-seater racetrack here, unlike what we saw at Laguna Seca, more suited to GT cars. Did that make the difference? Was because we saw the single-seaters didn't really seem very happy on this track. Was it just the layout of the course just didn't suit these cars, or what do you think it was?
I don't really know. I kind of like this course actually, but you sort of got to get in a rhythm, and if you lose that, you're falling behind big time. But yeah, Suzuka is going to be fun. I enjoy the S's in Suzuka. It's yeah, this is going to be great with this group of guys. It's so much fun with these guys.
Well, we'll give you the opportunity. Sponsor shout outs, anyone you want to give a call to from you and that team in the 57.
Well, I want to thank my teammate there. He let me by there and put Gerard. He was between Gerard and myself, which gave me a little bit of breathing room on that last lap. And you guys and Wayne for hosting this and broadcasting it. It's been great. Really enjoy it. Thank you.
Well, that's Bruce Poole. Finishes 3rd tonight. Bruce, congrats, and we'll see you at Road America here in August. Well, that's Bruce Poole, and that's about job done for us. So it's, I believe, time, as Cam would say, time to cue the music and start making our way away from Road, or not from Road Atlanta, or Road America. That's where we will be going in about a month's time or so, and you can find that, of course, here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live. That'll be August 9th. You can catch the next round of the 60-plus racing adventures here on RaceSpotTV. But Jack, an absolutely interesting race, I'd have to say. It's unlike any race I've seen where really it almost felt like VLN, because the track really was the monster today. It wasn't the traffic, it wasn't the other drivers. I think it was the track won out today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen races of attrition before with the 24-hour races on RaceSpotTV, but just seeing it in a sprint race, it has a different dynamic to it, and how that ended and how it played the result by the end of both races definitely made it interesting for us to watch and commentate on. But these guys always provide us with some great racing, and I am very sad that I'm going to be missing the next round at Road America. So I wish all these guys good luck, and I've very much enjoyed commentating on the series.
Well, for more about this, you can check them out on the iRacing forums. You can find them on there. You can also find Donald Stroud all over the service. But for everyone here at RaceSpotTV, follow us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, of course, everything on there here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so. But for everyone involved in the broadcast tonight, for our race director, Hugo Louise, for Nick Styles, and of course for the 60 Plus Racing Adventures League, Donald Strout putting all that on. And for myself, Cisco Scaramuza, of course, Will Vincent at RaceSpotTV as well, and Win Designs, everyone involved that makes these broadcasts possible. Thank you for watching this presentation of the 60 Plus Racing Adventures. We'll see you from Road America, but that'll be in 1 month time. Until then, stay safe out there.